So fun stories. Every time I hear about like how vicious they are, I just remember to myself, she's afraid of the wind.
If a group of people like a particular thing and you hate that group of people, you're going to hate that thing too. This is unironically just race realism, just for dogs. Hey everyone. So, yeah. Got a couple caveats before we begin this segment. The first one is that we kind of have to break our statement about not really talking about Voosh because we have to talk about something related to Voosh, but not Voosh himself. He's done nothing wrong. He's been dealing with medical issues, recently got keloids removed. I wish him a speedy recovery, as does Zena.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really about Voosh. It's actually about Vouch's subreddit. And it's also not about Vouch's moderators, because they've been pretty solid. I like these people. They're good people. No, the issue I have is that I'm hearing leftists give off really dumb takes, and I have a problem with it.
Me too. Both of us do.
So, I got very offended by this. Zena had to console me, and to be very clear, when Zena sees me get really upset by something like this, like, it really bothers them. So we want to be really clear that seeing this stuff from lefties is weird.
And this stuff bothers me too. It's not as like an immediately like triggering my stuff content, but it definitely does bother me. So just a lot of the rage might get channeled by Jess in this moment.
Yep. So here's how it goes. It started with this. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this? So if you look here, you have a based meme. Leftists talking about how no group of people is genetically predisposed to X or Y, and it's all caused by socioeconomic conditions, or sociological conditions in a more general sense. Leftists talking about how pit bulls are genetically prone to violence. Now, I want to be clear, this is the based and correct take. Also, don't go to this Reddit and bother anyone. No harassment, no nothing.
Don't comment, just leave it alone.
I don't think they can anymore. These are all locked.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So this is the correct take. That even as dogs are bred for the purposes of certain things, this does not program them into ways to be a certain way. This does not necessarily in any way, shape, or form force them to be any particular way. It creates tendencies, and those tendencies are reified by sociological conditions. But these tendencies, despite their existence, people use for ill ends. We're going to be talking about that. So, you might want to watch out for that one. Talking about pit bulls and how many people they bite or attack can be a dog whistle for 1350 posting. Correct. Haha, dog whistle, get it? Right? So as you go through this, what you're going to see is that you have idiot takes like this. I'm having a hard time believing anyone would fall for such an asinine comparison between dog bred for violence and with human beings. So, we're going to cover pit bulls' history. But the reality is there's a lot of people here saying some unironically racist crap. And some unironically incorrect crap. There's everything here from being bred for violence, which, if you look at most dog breeds, many of them were bred for some sort of violent means, either for hunting or other things. You have this person here who's based and correct. Real talk. Pit bull hate is racist and easy to say pit bulls and people who own them to allude to really obvious stereotypes. Correct. So, while dogs are bred for specific physical traits, this one is incorrect because it does not necessarily mean there's going to be, oh, no, they're correct, believing there is a difference. Behaviors that might not end up being different, but I get why someone could, there is a difference. I mean, fair. So, here's the thing. When I see this stuff from lefties, it bothers me. That's correct, Felicity. Golden retrievers do have a higher percentage of pits than for child maimings and death. Here's the thing. When I see stuff like this and people aren't educated on this, it means that they're not really doing their due diligence. Jose actually did a video on this covering it. I highly recommend people watch it because there's a deep association between pit bull hate and racism. We're going to cover why that is. But the short version of it is that essentially when you have a dog that is primarily owned by people in poverty, people of color, the dog becomes associated with certain types of groups. And so when you create things like breed-specific legislation, you're really just coming up with a sideways way to keep certain groups out. So the issue is that these people are going through and saying this, and you'd probably think this is not a huge deal. It's just another series of shit posts on r/voshv, except for the inconvenient fact that humans have now been selectively bred for particular traits by another species, unlike dogs. Like, this is unironically just stupid. The idea that even though a dog is bred for a specific thing, and pit bulls were, we'll cover this in a moment, but pit bulls were bred partially for illegal fighting. This was the thing that happened. But more so, they were actually bred for, if I remember correctly, rat hunting and killing bulls. In fact, it's where their name comes from.
I am going to be kind of a disappointed around here. 'Cause here's the thing.
There's no data here.
Yep, pretty much. Like, I know there's a lot of things that, like, we pass around that, like, we think are facts or we think are true, but occasionally, no, like, go check yourself on that stuff. Like, just because something that we've passed around is true, we think is true, doesn't mean that it actually is, or that it actually turned out to be true, okay? There's a lot of, like, different housekeeping stuff, okay? Or different things about, you know, dogs or the way things are that aren't actually true. Yes, I know we got taught this stuff, but it's not actually true. So, and this is one of those things that, no, you can just go research it and look it up. You can just go look up the data. So, yeah.
So right now I'm looking through this guy cited, claiming neuroanatomical differences in brain structures. And so while yes, there is a difference in different dog brain structures because we did breed them differently, all they're doing is noting differences. Remember, brain structure differences do not necessarily mean direct correlative effects on behavior and specific changes in various ways of action. We're going for outcomes and influences, not for the purposes of a direct, this is what's going to happen. And so I'm looking at this, and this actually doesn't allege anything this person said. All it says is there's differences in their brain structures. And while different breeds have different temperaments, which we're going to cover, the reality of this is that this doesn't actually say anything that this person thinks it says. Not to mention, one of the big things with pit bulls was because you were doing things like, you know, dog fighting, bull baiting, and the like, you need a dog that's going to listen, that's going to have a high temperance or high temperament. Pit bulls have one of the highest. So the idea is that this person actually is supporting my point, Zena's point as well. See, this is nonsense. This is just talking about significant variations. This is just an objective statement with no actual real push towards it because it's not talking about this specific breed. It's talking about in general. So let's get back to this. So people kept whining here, and I'll admit I got pretty freaking triggered. My dog is an emotional support dog. My dog is a dog that I love very deeply. I have my dog because I have borderline. And like, the issue we have here is you have people who refuse to actually provide any kind of data. This person's going, specific breeds were done for specific purposes. They treat dogs like they're like factory made. ignoring the social conditions, the way a dog is raised, their upbringing. Like, it's literally like, first off, nature has changed since the initial group was made. But also, like, the nature of them, like, if a dog is raised in a fairly, decent and loving and good environment with good training, there's no real issue.
Well, and there's still people that do a lot of work, like, rehabilitating dogs that have been in, abusive environments previously, right? Like, that's still a thing. Like, no, you can still work with dogs.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So this initial thing, this was a huge thing. As you can see, this got to be a giant argument, and you'll notice, if I'm going to look at the actual specifics, 74% upvoted. So the subreddit was really okay with it. But then we get into this base post, and I might be missing some of these posts. I only saved the ones I found. Sounds like people here never owned a pit bull. They are fucking babies. Any dog is prone to violence, especially working dogs, because they have so high energy. That is true. Owning a pit bull is a high energy dog. So they are high maintenance. They're good hunting dogs. But please, can we not talk about them like they're more prone to violence just because they are pit bulls? Also, some of you sound like crap dog owners. Get a cat, less time and maintenance. P.S. I'm black, not a meme. So the way I see some of y'all talk about this is very suspicious. Based and true. Spoiler alert. This award was from me. I spent money to award this person because, let's be very clear, this was the correct and correct thing. Dogs are not people, yes, but they're still mammals that still function in a similar way. They are not necessarily as cognitively sophisticated. They are not necessarily as intelligent. But the idea that what this person says we need to do is ban the breeding of pit bulls, the mandatory spaying and neuter, and then let the fucking breed die out.
Damn.
This person is unironically saying we could kill an entire breed of dogs. Thanks, Darius. What is that, Ford? Again, no harassment. And this person has the based and correct take. You could say the same thing about pugs. The problem is that a lot of this is just people arguing for the sake of argument. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're going by really stupid memes, liberal memes. I'm not joking. These are liberal memes. This is such a scary dog. They're so bad. They're going to hurt us all. What?
Yeah, about that.
So, guy lost his brother to a pit bull. Sorry to hear that. Again, the question is, this dog came from shitty breeders, so of course poor puppy had part. So again, it comes down to experiences and the like. The issue we have down here, the results found Chihuahuas and Dachshunds were more aggressive towards both humans and other dogs. If you want to see an example, see Comrock, met my don't essentialize traits of dog breeds. Life is plastic, malleable. You went back millions of years and picked up a little rat-looking thing. It's hard to imagine its descendants splitting atoms, right? Like, again, like, we're ignoring the individuals, the actual training, the actual experiences. Like, this is unironically just race realism. Just for dogs. Like, you can say, oh, they're not the same thing because you don't value dogs as living creatures. What I'm saying is that there are groups of people who have very real, definable differences. Like, can I just riff on this for 10 seconds? I talked about a book before called The Sports Gene. There are literal groups of people, say Jamaican runners, who are objectively faster. They have more muscle twitch fibers in their legs that allow them to be faster. I think for sprinting, not for marathon. I highly recommend that book. It also talks about bully whippets, an offshoot of whippets, which are tiny little dogs that look like freaking greyhounds that basically end up looking like they're super muscular because of an issue where their body doesn't stop producing. I believe it's androgens. Well, since I've read that book, I was an undergrad. But the point being is that we have human beings that are demonstrably different in certain ways, but it doesn't in any way change that they're human or that they're going to be predisposed to certain things. This is unironically using the same underlying logic as race realism. I mean, just sub out the word violence for IQ. Do you guys see that? Am I wrong on this? Yeah, post studies, please. You make some pretty strong claims here. Yeah, we can go on. But people are unironically, like, this was something being posted here. And you can argue that some of these are DGGers. Right? Post studies, please. It does not justify killing a breed. Only ones who've ever been attacking, anecdotally, are German Shepherds. Every pit bull I've ever known is quite friendly. Based and true. Also, except for the German Shepherd part. German Shepherds are babies, too.
And don't get me wrong, like, definitely recommend, like, you know, researching, you know, researching whatever kind of pet you want, right? And making sure that you're getting something that, like, you feel confident, you know, taking care of. Be that, you know, dog, cat, rabbit, whatever. But still, like, no, people, we gotta...
Pros Renegade says it perfectly. It's unironically eugenics or phrenology. Based and true. Because, again, all you have to do is go, well, they're just a lesser species. Man, that sounds like some shit white people said at one point. God damn. Like, again, this person at least is trying. Like, I was mauled as a child, I was pit bull, yada yada, physical therapy. Like, again, only consistently dangerous dogs were pits. Again, if these were rescue dogs from fights, that would make some sense. But again, I can't trust anyone's actual anecdotal evidence here because it's just anecdotal.
Right, well, and what is it? Confirmation bias.
Oh, yeah. So every dog you see that you think is a pit, which we'll get to later, the number of times, like, pits are literally, like, confused for other dogs. But you're right, it is confirmation bias by definition.
Yeah. Well, and sample bias, right? Like, you and your work does not necessarily give you a large, full-scale sample of something, right? Especially when your environment is going to kind of skew you to seeing certain things, right? Depending on, you know, what kind of shelter you work in or what kind of area you're at. It's going to skew what your, you know, what your pool for experiences. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, this person, like, pit bulls were used for bull baiting. They were bred for gaminess, aggression, and strength. I mean, they were, again, also bred for loyalty. Again, but this guy claiming to be a biologist, let me be really super clear. If you are a biologist, you are unironically going with the same logic. Unironically. Using the same logic as, like, race realist. This is insanity. So, but again, we ban breeding of them altogether. Like, you want to kill an entire breed of dogs. Like, you suggest up here that the idea is, like, we could harm reduction and breed the aggression out of them, except we've already proven that there's not a higher level of aggression. These studies have been done. Considering you're a biologist, it's disappointing to see you put forth poor arguments on this topic. The breeding argument. Research has shown that pit bulls are not particularly aggressive in temperament compared to other breeds. True. There are no innate biological mechanisms to make their bite or jaw different than other dogs. Yeah, the locking jaw thing is a lie.
Oh, so, that's just outright.
Yeah, like, dumb. Casual Geographic covers this too. Top attackers. This is exactly the same fallacy as 1350. Yes, people and dogs are different. I understand that. However, the argument being made is the same. Taking a statistic and a correlation and assuming a specific causal link. True and based DT junkie. But even if they aren't more aggressive, they're still more causing damage. So the harm reduction POV, we should still ban and restrict them. Paraphrasing, not actually quoting you. Breed bans. Again, your arguments here are coming from an appeal to emotion and logic, but not science. Here is exactly a statement from the AKC on breed bans. Although there have been many studies on the effectiveness of BSL, there is no evidence supporting the notion that some breeds of dogs are more inherently dangerous than others, or that banning ownership of certain breeds lowers the bite rate. In fact, the American Kennel Club, the American Veterinary Medical Association, the National Animal Control Association, and the American Bar Association, the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and the Center for Disease Control, and a host of other respected organizations oppose BSL and recognize the inequities and inherent fallacies of such laws. If you are unironically are supporting BSL, breed-specific legislation, spoiler, you are supporting 1, classism, 2, racism, and again, you're saying that families, in order to move into an area, even if you ignore the class aspects and the race aspects of that, if the people, again, if there's certain groups of people, happen to be a particular groups, that like a particular dog breed, because I've known quite a bit of African Americans that like pits, they're loyal, loving dogs. I don't blame them. I love pits too.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is that this idea that you would support these types of things also just means you're cool with just separating someone's fucking pet from them. I'm a biologist perpetuates the pit bulls have magic locking jaw myth. Did you get your degree at Prager University? Based and true. So yeah, so you can see that this descended into stupidity, even though this is objectively a good post. So then we get into another post about pit bulls. And this one's 50-50. Some of it is, it's good. It's good. I might disagree with a few pieces, but there's a couple things in here I think are really good. Furthermore, it was the CDC's own conclusion, which can be found on numbers of sites from their dog taken of fatal dog bites. This is where people have getting the 65% that I've seen used frequently. That is not indicative of a higher tendency of attack, but just that these attacks are more likely to cause serious injury. Moreover, 65% value comes from not just pit bulls, but pit bull type breeds, as well as any mixes of these. It has also been shown that dogs that are classified as pit bulls types may share little or no common ancestry with pit bulls. Let me reread that. It has also been shown that dogs that are classified as pit bull types may share little to no common ancestry with pit bulls. Thus, the comparison of this figure to 0.4 to 0.6% of pet dogs being pit bulls is extremely misleading. And then this person goes into stuff that says, you know, again, they kind of do also pull back some of the I think, if I remember correctly, they also pull back a little bit, like, I don't see this evidence of the racist mindset. Again, that's because you're not looking, at least not looking for that particular thing. I like the rest of your post, Atticus, but again, whatever. So let's take a look at some stuff. The ASPCA's position on this breed. While a dog's genetics may predispose it to behave in certain ways, genetics do not exist in a vacuum. Rather, behavior develops through a complex interaction of environments and genetics. This is an especially important consideration when we look at an individual dog versus a breed. Many diverse and sometimes subtle factors influence the development of behaviors, including, but not limited to, early nutrition, stress levels experienced by the mother during pregnancy, and even temperature in the womb. And when it comes to influencing the behavior of an individual dog, factors such as housing conditions and the history of social interactions play pivotal roles in behavioral development. My dog has a damn anxiety disorder. Come now. The factors that feed into the expression of the behavior are so intrinsically intertwined that it's usually impossible to point to any one specific influence that accounts for a dog's becoming aggressive, just like with people. This is why there is such a variation in behavior between individual dogs, even when they are the same breed and bred for the same purpose. Because of the impact of experience, the pit bull specific bred for generations to be aggressive may not fight with dogs, and the Labrador Retriever bred to be a service dog may be aggressive towards people. True. Early positive experiences, most notably socialization, are key in factors preventing aggressive tendencies in dogs. Notice they didn't say pits, they said dogs. So we get into this. Like, laws that ban particular breeds of dogs do not achieve these aims, and instead create the illusion, but not the reality, of enhanced public safety. It is literally security theater, people. It's the same when you sign your freaking receipt for your credit card or when the TSA goes over you. We know both of these things, sorry, love,
Okay.
are both security theater. You're doing them because that's the meme. You're supposed to do them. But guess what? Spoiler, that's not a thing. They don't actually check your stupid signature, and the TSA hasn't actually stopped anyone from sneaking anything on board. At least not enough to be meaningful.
Yep.
And breed-specific legislation is the same thing. Notably, there are no statewide laws that discriminate based on dog breed, and 18 states have taken proactive steps of expressly banning laws that specifically single out particular breeds for disparate legal treatment. Even the White House has weighed in against the law that targeted specific breeds. In a statement issued in 2013, President Obama said, "We do not support breed-specific legislation. Research has shown that bans on certain types of dogs are largely ineffective and often a waste of public resources." True.
You're really fast.
Sorry. And the simple fact is that dogs of any breed can be dangerous when they are intentionally or unintentionally raised for aggression. So this is the actual statement by the ASPCA. Right? So, the racism behind breed-specific legislation. How we think of race and breed informs one another. The word race comes from the world of dogs. In medieval France, they classified their animals by function and nobility. The dogs belonging to French nobility were the highest race, and the common guard dogs the lowest race. For hundreds of years after, writers across Europe referred to races rather than breeds of dogs. The definition of race has made its way over to defining humans during the Enlightenment, and breed was attached to dog. For most breed-specific legislation, the term pit bull is a catch-all. While it includes the American Pit Bull Terrier, the American Staffordshire Terrier, and the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, specifically the aggregate species, or breed known as pit bulls, because they're actually three separate dogs that all are similar. Mm-hmm. And in almost all cases, any derivative of the breed or any breed defined as a bully breed. According to the Animal Farm Foundation, all breed-specific policies and laws can be traced back to racism, classism, and ableism. True.
Yep.
Sometimes this discrimination is against the homeless, people of lesser means. Sometimes it's about ableism, denying people with disability access. And other times it's about racial profiling and stereotypes. If you're scratching your head as to wonder if there's any proof of racism in breed-specific legislation, consider the following. While the more savvy politicians in towns may have used coded language, the evidence of racial bias is clear. The roots of Miami-Dade's pit bull ban was growing anxiety and social tension about Cuban immigrants. They got link right here. We'll look at that if we want. When Denver, Colorado placed its ban on pit bulls after whites moved out and Latinos moved in, a move that dramatically changed the population of the city because people didn't want to give up their dogs. When Aurora, Colorado, enacted a ban on pit bulls, one of the commissioners stated that she did not want those sorts of people, perceived owners of pit bulls, moving into her community. Those sorts of people? The New York City then Mayor Ed Koch sought similar measures in New York City, and he did not do so because of evidence that the dogs were dangerous, but because of who was thought to own them. See the parenthetical. Sterling Heights, Michigan. God damn it. Once a sundown town, a form of segregation by excluding non-whites via some combination of discriminatory local laws, intimidation, and violence. A supporter of pit bull bans called it necessary because we have inner city people who bought homes here. Ellensville, New York, these officials did not even bother using coded language. They wanted BSL to address the growing number of Mexicans moving into the community. Support for BSL remains strongest with the older, white, and more conservative voters in predominantly white suburbs. In a letter to his friend, first president, patriot, and American hero George Washington had to say this about slaves with dogs. It is not for any good purpose, N-word, raise or keep dogs, but to aid them in their night robberies. Any of Washington's slaves that were caught with a dog were severely whipped, and the dog was, dog cruelty, trigger warning. Not reading that out loud. Moving on.
Yep.
Another president, patriot, and American hero, quote, Thomas Jefferson feared a slave dog attack on his sheep flocks so much that he informed his caretaker Monticello to have all the dogs destroyed. Yeah. In 1855, South Carolina believed the dog owned by slaves caused the greatest injury to people in South Carolina than all of the abolitionists in the world.
That's a take?
That's a take. It's not a good take, but it's a take.
Damn.
Why have a pet? Even today, the misunderstanding around both who has a dog that may fall under BSL and why they have a dog is wildly driven by race. Empirical data shows that race of a defendant has an impact on judicial rulings, creating harsher judgments and sentences for people of color. We believe this is leftists. Platinists, we're aware. We live in Michigan. We get it. If the owner of a pit bull is black, overwhelmingly anecdotal evidence would indicate that the legal system would view the nature of pit bull attacks differently than they would other incidences. Over time, it would seem that pit bull has become a synonymous for black, and thus a similar legal bias seems to be at play. The reality is that a majority of people who have dogs as pets, regardless of breed or race, have them as pets and treat them as a member of the family. According to the animalshelters.org, roughly 50% of American households have at least one pet dog, and of that, 80% treat their dog as a family member. So again, science has proven that dogs make us laugh more than cats. We can go into that. Dogs are great. Moving on. Eugenics, the practice of eugenics in dogs and humans and dog breeding is also connected. Eugenics, the set of beliefs that practice the aims of improving genetic quality of human population. Historically, this has been done by excluding people and groups judged as inferior and promoting those judged to be superior. At its peak, 32 states in America had a eugenics program. From 1929 to 1974, North Carolina was seen as having the most aggressive eugenics program. During 45 years, a disproportionate number of those who were targeted were forced or coercive sterilization were black and female, with almost all of them being poor. You remember that thing that was said earlier about getting rid of the breed? Do you remember that? Hey guys, you remember when they said that? That we should get rid of all pit bulls? We should get rid of dogs like mine by breeding them out or just destroying them? We used to do this to people too. In California, African Americans made up just 1% of California's population and accounted for at least 4% of the total number of sterilization operations conducted by the state between 1909 and 1979. Wow. Okay, a 4 times difference. You'll notice that eugenics was practiced well in the 20th century. However, it didn't fall out of favor because America suddenly became woke. Constant reminders of the Holocaust opened our eyes to the obvious conclusions of eugenics. So the end of eugenics was not because of a spiritual awakening. It was because of fear. Breeding dogs is just eugenics for a different species. Consider the detailed guidelines of breed standards used to breed dogs and how they are judged at shows, and you'll notice how entrenched in eugenics they are. Verbiage between dog breeding and human eugenics is alarming. Degenerate, as in degenerate coat color for washed out mutts or degenerate races of half-breed humans. Undesirable. Aesthetic features not allowed in the ring, or individuals whose lifestyles do not conform to normality. Expression used by dog show judges to describe the subjective thing they see in a champion, or any random trait believed to be a sign of blood purity. Retrograde terms of mixed race and breeds like mongrelization and debasement have been applied to both humans and dogs. BSL is not effective. Some 860 cities regulate specific dog breeds. 100% are targeting pits. I actually have a couple excerpts from this book, but in Bronwyn Dickey's book, Pitbull, The Battle Over an American Icon. By the way, did you know that pit bulls also fought in war? We used them in World War, I believe, 1 and 2. Yeah. They're good puppers. But some people are idiots. Some people ironically think that, like, these dogs are just vicious monsters.
Don't worry, we will get to the cuddles after this. There will be doggo cuddles.
In all municipalities where breed-specific legislation has been adopted, it has failed to prevent serious dog bite injuries and hospitalization. Veterinarians, animal behaviorists, public health experts, including those at the Center for Disease Control, CDC, are virtually unanimous in their denunciation of BSL. on the grounds that it is both cruel and ineffective. I'm not saying that you can't make a difference between animals and humans, folks. I'm just saying is that if you're going to use the same language we do to marginalize a group, you have to at some point realize that there seems to be a carryover. I think breeds of dogs are cringe. I think the idea that you can use the term degenerate on a dog is weird.
Well, especially for like such minor traits, right?
Yep.
It's not like a degenerative bone disease, right? Where like an actual like thing is deteriorating.
Yeah, the
like,
word actually means degenerate. Yeah.
No. This is just describing a quality of something.
Yep. Yeah. So in 2013, we already know Obama administration weighed in, said breed-specific legislation is a bad idea. In 2014, the American Veterinary Medical Association stated that controlled studies have not identified this breed group, pit bulls, as disproportionately dangerous, and that it has not been demonstrated that introducing a breed-specific law ban or specific ban will reduce the rate or severities of bite injuries occurring in the community. Only the most radical group, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, supports BSL. Of course PETA supports BSL. God.
Damn, PETA is just...
Remember, they think dogs should not be domesticated. They hate domesticated animals. They take people's dogs and fucking euthanize them.
PETA is bad. PETA is bad.
Yeah, by the way, PETA's always cringe. Never interact with them, never work with them. If someone's a member of PETA, you should assume immediately that they're going to, like, steal your dog. BSL and housing. A large swath of BSL targets renters, be it private or public housing. While many restrictions are common sense, like don't hoard animals or have wild animals, others are more targeted. In New York City, the NYCHA, or New York City Housing Authority, provides housing to plus or minus 400,000 New Yorkers. They have a ban in place since 2009 that restricts specific breeds, including pit bulls, Rottweilers, and Dobermans, either pure or mixed breed. Compared to the demographics of New York City as a whole, public housing residents are far more likely to be Black or Hispanic. In 2017, over 90% of public housing residents were Black or Hispanic. Do I need to read that again? Do you guys get the overlap here? Do you see why r/voshv and the absolute morons there who are talking about euthanizing an entire dog breed under the guise of fake logic and bad data are absolutely idiots?
And falling into racism, because this is great.
These are people who don't actually understand the ways that racism has been used and the ways that racism has extended to any part of a person of color's culture. If a group of people like a particular thing and you hate that group of people, you're going to hate that thing too. Look at how many people memed on fucking Twilight. Because young girls liked it, and anything that young girls like must be bad. Does Twilight have bad things in it? It has some shit that's not great. It's not my favorite. Is it something we need to sit there and drone on about? No. Lindsay Ellis literally has a video apologizing for it because it's innocuous, it's benign. But if a group of people like a thing, we associate it with them. So it's weird how pit bulls suddenly are these violent monsters. And they're more likely to be owned by Black or Hispanic people we also tend to believe are more violent. In the private sector, renters face state and local government restrictions regarding pet ownership in addition to the whims of property owners. Academic Ann Linder wrote in her article, The Black Man's Dog, the Social Context of Breed-Specific Legislation. Breed-specific legislation may be being used as a new form of redlining to keep minorities out of majority white neighborhoods. Hey guys, do I need to reread that, or you understand? It's redlining with extra steps. Landlords impose pet restrictions disproportionately impact groups. Low-income renters and renters of a societally marginalized breed of dog include pit bulls, Dobermans, Rottweilers, Bulldogs, German Shepherds, and Chows. Websites like the openly prejudiced dogbites.org do little to hide their contempt and argue racist beliefs. Dogbite.org is a public education website about dangerous dog breeds, chiefly pit bulls. Define a pit bull. How is the breed of a pit bull defined? To educate
BSL.
Yeah, whatever. I can't pronounce words tonight. The term pit bull is an umbrella label that includes several bully breeds, While there is a breed that is called the American Pit Bull Terrier, there are no less than 42 different dog breeds of dog that would be categorized under the generic bully label. 42 different breeds under just this umbrella term.
Yeah. Making any definition of a pit bull legally suspect at best. That has not stopped municipalities from continuing to enact BSL. So,
in Ferguson, Missouri, the city of 2014 murder of Michael Brown, it's measured as most unimaginable and historically offensive. For all intents and purposes, they apply the one drop rule. You know, Ferguson's animal control ordinance has written into it municipal code 621. It shall be unlawful to keep, harbor, or own in or any way a pit bull in Ferguson, any purebred pit bull or any mixed breed of dog which contains any element in its breeding, or any dog which has the appearance and characteristics of those breeds. Applied to humans, the one-drop rule is a social and legal construct that says any person where even one ancestry is black ancestry, one drop, is considered black. Because remember, race is not a real thing. Adjudicate. Thank you. Adjudicate. Why couldn't I pronounce that? What the fuck is wrong with me?
All right. It's getting to be like 10:30 though.
Yeah. So, strongest bite ever. They have the strongest bite of canines. False. They don't even crack the top 12. Bad tempers? False. Pit bull bites are deadly. 81% of dog bites cause no injury at all and are only minor injuries that do not require medical attention. And the Chihuahua is the number one offender. Pit bulls will attack indiscriminately. False. Pit bulls and bully breeds are like any other dog. And again, they attack more frequently. False. We will have all of this in the links below. I'll make sure you guys have all this. Look at this dog. Look at him. Bottom line, it's racist. All of this is racist. All of it's racist. All of it's stupid. All of it's based on feelings. Last but not least, I have some stuff here that I'll put in the rest of the links. Here's the ASPCA's talk about their history and all that stuff that we just talked about. Here is a link that I'll be putting in there that is from Pitbull, the battle for an American icon, where there are excerpts in here directly talking about the overlap of pit bulls and gang members. In fact, there are like it's just a thing. Here's a link that I'll be putting into the thing as well. Pit bulls are just about the nicest dogs there are. They come in second out of temperance. This, by the way, is from Huffington Post and the American Humane Association and the ASPCA. The breed isn't the problem. Owner is. Right? So last but not least, to tide you guys over, the truth about pit bulls, what you need to know. They have great fashion sense. They don't even bother trying to upstage them. They never take things seriously. Blep. They are ferocious. Get a load of this guy.
Very snuggly.
They are really good at guilting you into treats. I mean, look at that face.
Okay, Bun seriously sat on the bed today with her butt to me because I wouldn't give her my almond butter and jelly sandwich. She was like, no, I really cannot look at this or I will just try and eat it more. She was so sad. She did get some peanut butter afterwards, though, okay?
And if you like cuddling, stay away. Look at that derp face. They have just best derp face. Their smiles are impossible to compete with. They're not afraid to throw some shade your way. Some of them even enjoy hanging out with kittens. Can you believe them? They want to play with you all of the time. And they may even try to kiss you. So yeah. We'll be putting all these links down below in the document, but I need you guys to understand this. Like, just please understand this, along with the links to those Reddit posts if you want to go through them. I'm going to get aggressive about any time anyone talks about getting rid of my dog.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm alive is because of pit bulls. Let me be really clear. I was in a really bad place circa 2013, 2014. Might have been earlier than that now that I think about it. Might have been 2012. And the story goes really simply is that my friend's dad, who was a complete asshat, just didn't want his dog anymore, so he just left it in a park and let it get hit by a car. The other dog he had, he just left it at my friend Hanging Wednesday's house. So you know what we did? I had a dog there suddenly, and I decided I'm going to have a dog. His name was Roddy. He was brown and lovable. That dog is one of the reasons I'm here today, because let's face it, I went through a really bad breakup 2012-ish, 2013-ish, that kind of was devastating. And it's not great for BPD, especially when you're a closeted trans girl. So let me be super clear. I am very protective of this breed, especially because there are so many myths and so much hatred, all based on classism, race, and racism. I'll be really clear. If I see anyone spreading those memes in our community, I will just ban you. There will be no warning. There will be no nothing. I will just ban you. And let me be really clear to r/VoshV mods. I appreciate you shutting down that stuff because it was turning into an absolute minefield to go through. But Vosh, if you want to do another like subreddit purge, like you did with the Canada thing, I got some folks you should go after. You have anything else on this?
Yeah, I hate this stuff too. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the reasons you dislike it so much is like, not only does just the idea in itself bother you, but like, I think you get really affected by seeing me so upset. Because it's not just
in there too, yeah.
Because it's not just me upset. Like, I'm not just mad like I am like Republicans are doing another dumb thing. It's like, no, this is a direct threat to me and like a thing that's incredibly important to me.
Well, so I did a report on this sort of thing in like 6th grade. I actually did a debate topic on this in 6th grade. So like, no, I've known this stuff for a long time. And it does really bother me because I like doggos. I like them a lot. And it is absolutely tragic when things happen. Okay, or injuries happen, don't get me wrong. And it sucks, but like, the breed-specific legislation, as we know, isn't the way to actually handle any of that. Like, no, really, guys, if you're having a hard time, like, just hire a dog trainer. Seriously, there's a lot of them out there. Like, for somebody that does positive dog training, right? You don't need to go down the stupid racism rabbit hole.
I'll actually go one step further. I think we should have state-funded training that should be put on regularly at places like the Y or various other places. And I think it should be specifically like marketed to people who are poor, low income, etc.
Mm-hmm. Because that'd be really cool. Or anyone who adopts, right? You get free dog training classes. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, seriously, you adopt a dog and get free classes? No, I'd do it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I cannot stress how much this is important to me, is that, again, you want better owners of dogs, you need to nip it in the bud and deal with it. You need to get rid of private breeders. You need to get rid of, like, the puppy farms. Puppy farms are awful. I'm pretty sure Bun was bred before she was, like, 1. My point is that there are better ways to deal with this. That doesn't mean we have to eradicate a whole breed. And the fact that there are people on there who dare to call themselves leftists and haven't actually done this research or haven't even looked into groups like the ASPCA who have clearly outlined this stuff, or the American Veterinary, like, there are so many groups that know this stuff to be the case.
Yeah. Well, and again, animals do save a lot of people's lives. There are a lot of people that deal with mental illness that also need their animals.
Yep.
Like, that's just a thing. Also, if you want a quick, this is Buns. Where? Touch.
She's got a blep. Oh, we ruined the blep.
She does have a blep. She's also a little sleepy right now. So fun stories. Every time I hear about like how vicious they are, I just remember to myself, she's afraid of the wind.
And the sound of motorcycles.
And the vacuum.
And a toy.
And that's why earlier on stream, she came and sat down under the desk and put her head against Jess's leg. Because she was like, no, I have to take care of you. Something's not okay. I'm scared, but I need to make sure you're okay. Hi,
so yeah, if the based mods of r/VoshV shut this nonsense down, want to, scrub those people because they're unironically supporting really creepy stuff. Yeah. Also, the vets love her, despite her being like absolutely terrified to go. She's like, oh, okay, I like you people, though. I'm nervous. That's my Bun voice, by the way. So,
that's a bun bun.
Her
She's
ears
a
have been like
sweetheart.
that. Her ears have been like ears like that since we've got her.
No, they're not clipped at all. It's not as far as we know. Again, we adopted hers. By the way, but also, when you see dogs that maybe like something happened to their tail, their ears, their anything, leave the owners alone, please. A lot of times people adopted dogs, okay? All right? And it's not their fault because obviously they adopted the dog, all right? So please, like, leave people alone. All right? I see that one a lot too. But Bun's just got pointy ears. That's why she kind of looks like a bunny, okay? When her ears are sticking up, like, she does kind of look like a rabbit. So
with that said, guys, we love you, and we just want to be
all.
clear is that this stuff's not okay. Seeing this from leftists is insane. So with that said,
Yep.
we will see you guys in the next one, okay? If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.